Ada! Happy 4th of July, guys.
Yes.
Welcome to another episode of Bro Break. How's everybody doing?
Hope everybody's doing better than I am.
Ryan has a few words for you guys.
If I feel off my game today, I had about 4 seizures yesterday, so I'm a little off of my game today. Still a little high from yesterday from all the Ativan I took.
But we'll try to make it work, right?
Yes.
We'll try to make it work. I hope that all of you are enjoying some family time. Some of you will have some picnics. Some of you will have cookouts. The point of the matter is that it's Independence Day.
Yes.
So we should all be thankful to live in a country like this. There's freedom. So for that reason, we have good wrestling and bad wrestling.
I'll agree with that.
And this episode, we're gonna focus on talking about one of the biggest things that has happened in this couple of weeks, which is Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff name executive directors of both Raw and SmackDown Live.
So yes, this happened last week. We wanted to make a video, but unfortunately Juan's storage was full and we weren't able to make a video of that.
Live TV, people. Live TV.
The better part about that, though, is we were able to see the product as it came out this week and know that I don't think any real change is coming anytime soon. When they were hired, there was, right at the end, I hope everybody caught it, they were reporting directly to Vince McMahon. So you have Paul Heyman he's supposed to be in charge of Raw and Bischoff in charge of SmackDown, but everything at the end, they're all reporting to Vince McMahon. And I was saying to anybody I knew that nothing was going to change with the programming because in the end, everything has to file through Vince McMahon.
Or filter through Vince McMahon.
Yes.
Well, we know that it's not gonna change, and if it does, it will take a long time to actually see any changes when it comes to the wrestling. I think that if they have to report to Vince, then any good idea or any radical change will have to be shut down because Vince doesn't really want the product to change. I think that in his own eyes, there's nothing wrong with the product. And the only reason that Heyman and Bischoff were named executive directors is to counterattack AEW.
That was a big reason. It took a lot of spotlight off of Fyter Fest. Took a lot of spotlight off them, as well as, in my opinion, when it comes down to it, I think in his mind, Vince's mind, people will now blame Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff for any mistakes that are going on instead of him. Whether or not people want to believe that, maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think some of the more idiotic people out there will start blaming Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman when the product still sucks or is not getting better.
Yeah, and what I can tell you guys is Eric Bischoff will be in complete charge after Extreme Rules. So that's one of the reasons that probably this week we didn't see anything new in SmackDown Live. The only thing that we could say about it is Kofi Kingston showing the middle finger to Samoa Joe. I feel that we will see bits and pieces of changes in both shows, respectively, as the weeks move forward, because I feel that they're either Heyman and Bischoff are just getting a feel for it. I think that it will all depends on how much leeway they can get and how much creative control they have over every single story that is being put out there on TV.
I agree because another article that came out was that WWE it might be pushing past the PG era and now be going into a more radical era for them. I want to say back to TV 14 maybe. Simply because they're all of a sudden we're losing the teenage audience. They're thinking they're losing that audience. They lost that audience a long time ago. But now they're starting to think about this and maybe think, you know what, we need to target the teenage audience and try to get them to come on board. So I think that's why you saw some of the other things that happened on Raw. I wasn't a huge fan of the whole destruction thing with Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. Maybe some of you casual fans really enjoyed it. To me, it's just another dumb shit thing that Strowman does. He does, destroying stuff, pulling the Tigatron down, destroying the ring. To me, he's never going to move past that character, and if you keep pigeon-toeing him into that one thing, the man will never move on. So the only thing I got out of that, everybody was so hot for that. I saw tweets, everything, that this is the greatest, start to Monday Night Raw in years. I disagree so much, simply because Strowman has done this shit for the past year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, closer to 3 years.
Right?
Yeah, he's done the same thing.
So to me, the only thing different was you had Corey Graves at least say, holy shit, when everything was going, blowing up and everything, and they made it at least feel like it was a real moment, which I enjoyed. They were at least pretending that it was something they didn't think was going to happen.
I think, like you said, is important to see that, like, in that segment, maybe there's a little bit of influence on Paul Heyman, just a bit, but again, like Strowman, like, you don't see an evolution of his character. He just seems to be the same still person that destroys things, that has shoulder tackles and the power slam.
Yes.
And that is it. You don't see him coming with new moves. I know he's a really tall guy. He's big. He doesn't have too much room to play with, but at the same time, he should do something else. If anything, I will say, and I know that there's a lot of people that hate Bobby Lashley, or Trashley, however you want to call it, I will say at least he put a little bit of a better match, because he doesn't have enough room either, because Strowman doesn't do that much in the ring.
Yeah.
There's a lot of running, there's a lot of shoulder tackles.
He's very, I don't know what a great word is. He's almost too...
limited.
Very limited.
Too limited.
Too
limited when it comes to the ring ability. Comes to like
and
skill.
That's
holds.
That's why every match you see him in is a no DQ match. No holds barred, street
Full
fight.
falls count anywhere. You
Hells
need to
in
add
a
a
Cell.
stipulation to help in getting through the match.
Yes.
So in that aspect, I feel that, like, yes, you could see something different when it's come to destruction, and like Ryan says, maybe there's a little bit of an indication that they will be moving gears towards a TV14 era, which is good, which is what is needed in order for the audience to get invested in the product once again. Because as of this state of the current WWE product, nobody's interested in it
At all.
at all. Like we can just mention a few examples, like attendance
Attendance
record
has been awful.
is awful. Pay-per-views, nobody really cares about the pay-per-views.
Nope.
And I feel that, like, yes, Paul Heyman, out of the two, if you ask me at least, and then we'll hear from Ryan, I feel Paul Heyman has a way better chance to come out with better storytelling, and he'll be able to develop the wrestlers in the way that they should be portrayed. He will be able to create new stars or come out with, like, the same stars that we have right now, but portray them in a different light. That way we can all be invested in them. For example, like in a Nakamura, in a Rusev, although they're in SmackDown Live, but maybe with the wildcard rule, you never know. But in that situation, I feel that, like, it's very important to see what Paul Heyman can do, because he was able to make ECW the way it was with very little elements to play with.
Yeah.
So I feel that out of the two, why? I will mention Eric Bischoff. Yes, he was able to compete toe-to-toe to WCW against WWE, but he was only able to do that thanks to the NWO. He never created newer stars. He used the cruiserweights that actually Paul Heyman was the very first one to portray them in ECW TV. So it's not that, like, he was able to create stuff. He was just using stuff that he knew he was hot. When it comes to cruiserweights, the NWO, he was great. It was like one of the greatest things that ever happened to professional wrestling. But like we said in the video before, he stole that from New Japan.
Basically, Bischoff had an open checkbook handed to him by Ted Turner, and Bischoff just went wild running checks writing checks for everybody, and that's how he just took the cruiserweights away. He took Malenko, Benoit, Jericho, Guerrero, all those guys.
And the old timers also.
Yeah, all the old timers from WWF. So, that's essentially how the Monday Night Wars began, because, Ted Turner had all this money and he was willingly letting Eric Bischoff just, sign up all the talent.
What he did, he incorporated new elements. For example, like he says in his DVDs and all those things that we've seen many times, like, oh, I wanted to use the real names. I wanted to make the product more adult oriented.
Very creative, I'll say.
In those manners.
Yes.
But if you guys remember, he tried to do the same thing on Impact or TNA, and he failed miserably. He actually dragged Impact so bad that, like, up to this day, they're just starting to go out on float again. Why? Because they were not able to create new stars, and then they brought back Flair, they brought back Hogan, Mick Foley, all the old timers that had really, really big contracts, and they stole all the money away. So if you ask me again, Paul Heyman to me, out of the two, is the better man. If I have to trust either one of them, I will say Paul Heyman can actually show more chance for Monday Night Raw. When it comes to SmackDown Live, I feel that Eric Bischoff he has a great roster, so we'll see what he's able to do. And because AEW is pretty much stepping on their toes, they're completely afraid. And I know that, like, I've seen articles that they're afraid that they're losing fans over AEW, but why wouldn't?
They're putting on great pay-per-views right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and really, you don't have to worry until October, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to get ahead, so I don't know what to say with AEW yet. I mean, I think they're doing a great job when it comes to any of the pay-per-views that they're putting on. We'll come to that at another point in another video. But I agree with you when it comes to Paul Heyman. Between the two, he has a much better chance of growing younger talent, making them succeed, than Eric Bischoff. I think he really struggled with that in WCW. The only one I can think of is Goldberg.
Goldberg is the only
one
star that Eric Bischoff was able to create.
He's like a homegrown
WCW
talent that came out. Because Sting had already been there.
Yes.
He was one who was homegrown,
yes,
but he had already been there. So I don't consider that an Eric Bischoff, discovery or creation.
Yes. Yes.
Otherwise, you don't think of anybody there.
No.
Where they're younger people, they try to groom them, process them, nothing.
No.
I don't think of anybody.
No, he actually fired Stone Cold. He wanted to sign Triple H, but Triple H actually decided to leave because he didn't feel that he was getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And then all the major stars left when Vince Russo took over.
Yeah.
And the NWO storyline became stale. Everybody was tired of it.
Well,
even the Big Show says, like, there was nobody to feud with because everybody was part of the NWO.
That's the only thing. I love Bischoff for his creative ideas, but the problem is the man, once he created something, I don't think he knew how to expand upon it.
Or maintain it, or like make the creation evolve.
Yes.
And that's a clear example is the NWO. What happened with the NWO?
It pretty much destroyed WCW from within.
Yeah, exactly right. Yes. It's like the biggest creation, but at the same time, it was the biggest failure because thanks to the NWO, a lot of stars left because they felt disgruntled, they didn't like where the product was going, and what happened? WCW went out of business. Why? Because they prefer to take care of the members of the NWO.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I feel like that Eric Bischoff. If you ask me, Ryan, what would you do with Eric Bischoff? I will put him again as Raw GM.
I'm not beyond that. because he has the talent and ability to do it.
And the charisma, and
Yes.
remember the theme song, I'm Back, Better Than Ever. Those years of Raw were a lot better and much more enjoyable with Triple H, Evolution, and Bischoff being the GM. That always helped them out.
Yeah.
So if you ask me what role would you use Eric Bischoff as, I would use him as a general manager.
And I'd like to go back to that where we have general managers instead of the fucking McMahons running the company.
Yes, yes.
To me, that's another place where this sort of drifted off because, you know, you don't know who's running the fucking show.
Yeah.
You have
One day is Triple H.
one day, yeah.
One day is Shane. One day is Stephanie. One day, like out of nowhere, Ben shows up, and then the storylines don't really have like continuity.
None.
They don't have. I want to say like they don't have a point A to a point B. It's just they just go from like any place to another place. They're just very scattered. Like they just like are random. For that reason, I feel that it will be much better to have Eric Bischoff in a general manager role.
And to me, if you're going to use a GM, I'd like to see the GM role used like it is in NXT, like a William Regal. You do not see him there
All the time.
at all. Really, he is only there to set up a big match or to announce something spectacular that is going to take place. After that, you do not see him for months.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, he's never there.
You don't even see them during Takeover.
No,
you don't see him during
that's
Takeover.
because it's a big, huge pay-per-view. You don't see him there because he doesn't have to be there.
Yes.
And I like that. I like that, aspect of the GM position. He is there to take care of business when it needs to be taken care of.
I feel that when it comes to that, if they want to improve the product, right there is the image that you should be trying to replicate. NXT.
Yeah, no doubt.
NXT. Triple H knows what he's doing. He started that thing from scratch, and now he's seeing the rewards from it. Everybody is completely invested in the product, and the thing with Triple H is like he keeps creating stars, because unfortunately he has to give stars to the main roster for Vince McMahon to completely kill them, burn them, and Triple H has the difficult duty or responsibility to keep creating stars as he goes.
For me,
but he's doing it right.
That's why I was upset that he wasn't one of the guys chosen to be.
Yeah, tell us your thoughts about that. Why Triple H is not even chosen or mentioned to be in one of those positions? Why Bishop? Why Heyman? Why not Triple H?
I assume it's because of the jealousy from Vince McMahon. He sees that Triple H is getting a lot more publicity, a lot more, pat on the back, you're doing a great job, while people are blaming Vince outright for the shitty product that he's putting out. And I think he's jealous, and he knows that if Triple H is given the reins and he's able to go full throttle, that the product will succeed, and he doesn't want that.
Exactly. And and you as a fan and as a person that just watches like this kind of relationships, you kind of feel bad for Triple H.
Yes.
Because you see how Triple H was born with like a wrestling mind. He loves wrestling, and he knows how to keep evolving the product. He knows how to adapt to times. He knows to adapt to new trends, and that's just seen on NXT.
Yep.
And the fact that he's not able to have a prominent role when it comes to the creative stage of WWE is just based on Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Because I think Vince knows that Triple H is actually way better than Vince has always been. And he will be able to take WWE to heights that is never been seen before. It's because Triple H knows how to deliver.
Yeah.
He knows how to deliver. And it's not that we're complete fans of Triple H here.
No, we
love Triple H, the wrestler, but I mean, there have been times.
I wouldn't even go that far.
But there's been times that we think that his decision making is a lot of bullshit, and we mentioned 2 instances that like are very clear for everybody.
Yes.
Booker T.
WrestleMania,
and Sting.
Booker T. WrestleMania 19.
And Sting.
WrestleMania, what was that?
31.
31.
When he should have lost, and he did not lose because of his freaking ego.
Yep.
So we will say that, like, I mean, I'm a fan of Triple H. as the wrestler, but when it comes to losing and everything, I will say that in many instances, I will mention another one, and we did a video on this. Shawn Michaels throughout the whole rivalry, he only lost once to Shawn Michaels, and that was in the Elimination Chamber. But
twice. SummerSlam.
oh, SummerSlam, yes,
But
twice.
again,
But never never in a championship match.
How about the title?
Yep.
Just even if you're gonna do it, what about the Hell in a Cell match? It was
Bad
for
blood.
nothing.
It was for nothing. Still wins. But anyway, when it comes to Triple H being part of being the head of the creative, I think that he has enough knowledge he's proven himself. He's 1,000%, not even 100. He's 1,000% proof that he can create things. Because if it wasn't for Triple H, we wouldn't even known guys like Adam Cole, like Johnny Gargano, like Tommaso Ciampa. So many people that have been groomed in NXT and right now are part of even the main roster. Seth Rollins, Zayn, Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
We been able to see them grow and reach to a point that they were number one favorite.
No doubt, and especially in NXT. In NXT, they thrived. And then you see a lot of these guys, like a Balor, like a Zayn, like an Owens, Neville, like these guys who were amazing in NXT, and then they come to the main roster and they just die a slow and painful death.
Exactly. One of the biggest examples of that, and two of them that actually hurt us really bad, Shinsuke Nakamura and Bobby Roode.
Yep.
Bobby Roode had the opportunity, the future, everything handed to him. Your theme song is great. The way you carry yourself is great. To be the number one heel.
He was the number one heel at one point in the entire company. Maybe they don't consider that since he was in NXT.
They don't consider NXT anything, but...
But he was the number one heel, in my opinion. Very great at what he was doing. Great character. But, again, when Vince sees something, he always has to change it to his way.
Yes.
And you absolutely ruined Bobby Roode's character by making him a babyface.
Absolutely right.
I have no idea why the hell you would do that. In his mind, he just listened to his music and was like, I really like his music. I'm going to make him a babyface. Never watched NXT once in his life.
Nope.
You need to understand these characters before you start taking them apart.
At least watch the product, and then you know what to do with them. Bobby Roode should have come as heel, should have attacked Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or whoever was the WWE champion at the time if there was a face, and start beating them up, and then you have a huge rivalry right there.
For me, dude, there's been a number of people who I know said, with Roode, with a bunch of people who have been these underprivileged people in WWE, you could have made a stable.
Exactly, and that's supposedly that's what they did right now, because on main event, Cesaro, EC3, and Bobby Roode, they become like the...
Why aren't we seeing that on the main roster, though?
Yeah, why do they see formations of stables on main event?
Nobody watches.
I'm going to ask every single one of you, the people that are watching us right now, do you watch main event? Do you even know that show is still existed? I didn't even know it existed. I thought it was just a thing that ended years ago. But then I found out when we went to Monday Night Raw that they're still taping.
I thought main event, when you tell me about main event, I think of the 1980s.
I think of Saturday night's main event.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I think of Saturday night's main event. That was badass.
Hogan versus Orndorff in the steel cage.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Stuff that it actually meant something.
Exactly.
Not just an outlet for low-card wrestlers to be featured in a thing that nobody even watches. I don't think they even watch their own stuff. For that reason, I think that Heyman and Bishop have a really tough job to perform.
They do. No doubt.
Especially like Ryan said, when you see that line highlighted in italics, underline it, it says they have to report to Vincent Kennedy McMahon. For that reason, I think that as far as improvement in the product, it's going to take a lot of time.
Yes, if they do
If they want to change it, actually.
Yes. If there's going to be improvement, it's going to take a long time to do it. Because right now, You know, if I have faith in anybody, it's going to be a Paul Heyman. Look what he did for SmackDown when he was the head writer back in 2002.
There you go.
No doubt. Fantastic. That was probably the best SmackDown had to offer. And he was what? Writer for what?
He was like 2 years or so,
It
right?
was something like that.
Yeah, like I would say at least it was 02 to like 04, 05, around that.
Because
That was the best time of SmackDown.
no doubt. He created new stars with, you know, he had Edge.
Or he made mid-cards into main
In
event
the main
stars.
event stars.
They,
You know,
he put them in the
Cena.
main event.
You know, so that's when Cena came out. That's when you had tag team wrestling with the Guerreros,
The Guerreros.
Benoit.
Angle.
And it was amazing with all those. And
Rhino.
Yes, Rhino came out.
Rey
Which
Mysterio and Edge.
it was just amazing to me, all the stuff that came out
Yes.
at that time.
Great storylines.
Storylines were amazing.
Even Zach Gowen.
Zach Gowen
Zach
was a good
Gowen.
one.
A bullshit one and a semi okay. And since we're all celebrating 4th of July, we'll say Mr. America.
Yeah, I remember Mr. America.
Mr. America. Why? Because nobody knew that it was Hulk Hogan. So and we were able to see actually a Vince McMahon even more cruel than what it was during the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Because then remember he fought Stephanie, and he fought Zach Gowen. He became a part of SmackDown. He will never show up on Raw.
Yeah.
He actually became a character on SmackDown. And that's how the rivalry between Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon came out.
Yep.
So, like you said, Ryan, I think that like if one of the two, Heyman is the guy to go to. Heyman has enough knowledge of what people know and want from a wrestling show to be able to create new characters, or at least the characters that you have made them look legit.
I agree.
Because that's the problem of the current state. The stars that we have, they do not look legit for us. They're just Muppets that they just fly or dance whatever Vince McMahon tells them to do. And for that reason, like nobody believes in the Seth Rollins anymore. Nobody believes in Daniel Bryan anymore. Kofi Kingston, like everybody's tired of his reign as champion.
Everybody.
Well, like
I
you
hate
said,
it.
every time that you see him, like,
Fucking pancakes. Like, what? How is that a champion?
and can you at least give me a decent promo? And now we have to believe that he's all like, oh, he's legit because he knows how to give the bird. He knows how to, like, for
If
the ones
you-
that don't know the bird, the middle finger.
Right? For me, if you were legit, you would have been doing that, you know, months ago. You know? I'm sorry, but you would have done that when Kevin Owens turned heel on you and said, you know what, fuck you. But, you know, no. The man's still coming out when he's facing Owens, not looking, like, upset about anything and just throwing pancakes in the
And it's all like this.
So, you
Wait,
know, but right now, I don't see any change. I watched Monday Night Raw, what I could have. It was to
we
me,
will talk about both shows in a different video, but you're right. There was no change whatsoever in neither one of them.
No.
There were see bits and pieces, little things here and there. I hope that we are going to see more changes as the weeks go by, as the build up for Stream Rules ends. We got to see the pay-per-view, and I think that like the major test for change will be SummerSlam.
I think that's what it's going to be. Because to me, Extreme Rules does not matter. It's a bullshit pay-per-view. But, all in all, what you need to do is have these two go to work and completely rip apart the entire structure of this. You need to get rid of the wild card. You need to cut down how many pay-per-views you have a year. And to me, you need to go back to brand and brand. You know, the brand split needs to be back, and you need to let Bischoff have one show and Heyman have one show and just cut it right down the middle, because the wild card rule is fucking everything up right now.
Yes.
Rip it apart, you know, have everything go its separate ways, and at least...
Because mainly the same wrestlers are being portrayed all the time.
That's the thing. And it's ruining everything.
It's ruined the mid card. It's ruined. Like, do you guys agree? Are you guys okay with Finn Balor not even having a match for like 4 weeks already?
Where's your IC title?
Where's the IC champion?
Where is he?
Where's the IC champion? Where I know that like the women tag team championship don't matter for anybody, but where are they? What happened with Asuka and Kairi Sane?
That's what I mean.
Even Paige, I saw it in an article. Paige said that like the toughest people to work with is the writers.
Yeah.
Because they get into a storyline and they will not drop it until they're completely out of it. And that's when I say, well, where's Ben's input? Ben should be the one, like, well, Kairi Sane, Asuka, but of course they don't speak English fluently, and that's why they're not able to be in the program. What happened with Rusev?
Right.
What happened with Nakamura? What happened with the continuity? Shinsuke touched the title. We didn't see him this week.
That's all WWE, dude.
Where's Buddy Murphy?
To me, the thing is,
Did Alexa did something to him?
hopefully what happens is, and I think you're right, it's only going to come until SummerSlam. That's going to be the big thing. Because SummerSlam's their biggest party of the year, as they call it. I'm hoping once it comes to SummerSlam, we're going to finally see some change.
Let's hope. Because in October, AEW is going to start, and they are going to be forced to change.
They have to.
By
then, you have to be setting little bits of change right now, because by October, you're going into Fox for SmackDown.
Yes.
Your ratings dip below a certain line,
Yes.
Fox can just get rid of you.
Yes.
They're not like USA where you can just stay on and everything's fine.
Yeah, and we don't care about the ratings.
Right.
We don't care about the shitty product as long as our stock in the market are really high.
Right, and Saudi Arabia is giving us blood money, and no. If Fox doesn't see improvement in the ratings, they can cut you off.
And then what? And then what?
There goes your $1 billion TV deal.
There it goes. And AEW is going to keep gaining momentum because Double or Nothing and Fyre Fest were complete successes. We're going to be talking about Fyre Fest in a later video, but we think that is really, really competing to WWE.
As of right now, yes.
As of right now, they're putting a better product, even in the fact that they don't even have a TV show.
Yes.
A regular TV show. The pay-per-views are way better than the ones WWE have had for years.
And the fact of the matter is, it's because what they do is simply wrestling.
They focus on professional wrestling. Something that NXT does. Why? Because Triple H cares about wrestling. He doesn't really care about the entertainment part of it, but through the wrestling, inside the wrestling part of it, you can find entertainment.
Yes.
If you guys don't believe me, watch Adam Cole yesterday on NXT TV. The promo that he cut when he went to Johnny Gargano's wrestling school, absolutely amazing. So we hope that you guys like the video. Keep subscribing, keep enjoying it, and we want to thank you for the support. And we're going to be back to you guys soon. Ada!